Ready? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's playing.
Okay, so my original concentration, if you like, when I was a kid was basically mathematics and art. So I was very good at both of them. So naturally, I went into the School of Architecture, and architecture is a very nice field because it, combines these two things together, which is very creative and very kind of like technical at the same time. But then, when I went to America, I was faced or encountered what I call a computer. Back then, in the 1980s, 86 really, I just saw a computer for the first time. I had no idea what it was, but what I got excited about was that it was more like, to me, the understanding of a computer was a applied mathematics. In other words, you would take, let's say, geometry, and you'd find where the points are, you would codify these points, and you start making things with it. And I thought that was very fascinating because, like I said before, I was very interested in mathematics, and the computer was basically something that actually could put these things in a more, if you like, idealistic way by technically embedding them into a machine, so actually I can increase the ideological side by doing testings and experiments with that. And that was something very, very important to me. So when I start programming, I realized that programming is not about making things that I already know faster and more efficient, but it's more about challenging myself. In other words, when I started using the computer, I encountered something called a random process. And a random process is something that is unpredictable to me. Of course, the computer, again, that was kind of like interesting that the computer was not, to the computer was not unpredictable. In the same way that if you ask me something random, like give me a random number, I know that random number myself, but you don't. And at the same time, the computer knows the random number is going to give me, but I don't. So in that sense, this dialogue between me and the machine, or whatever this thing is, this entity that I'm talking to, has the same kind of characteristics. It's unpredictable to me as I'm unpredictable to it. So that sort of dialogue between the machine and the human made me very fascinated, and at some point I realized that it could become much more powerful than that, than just programming certain things, but it could become a general theory, if you like, of artificial intelligence, if you like, which is where the thing and you are in a tandem, into a connection, a dialogue. So what eventually happened is that, I, from the computer science programming side that I got into more theoretical things, which were in the PhD level. And then I went to School of Design and Architecture back in Los Angeles, where there was a lot of movie industry. There was a lot of Silicon Valley area of AI at that time, but mostly graphics and design and representation of buildings or of scenes, or it was the beginning of gaming at that time. And then from there I went to Harvard, which was even more theoretical and more related to what really is AI, what does it really mean, where does it come from, where does it lead towards. And over that I had a lot of ability to encounter people at the high level, and also to make conferences and to talk to people, write papers, getting and make a group of people who were interested in AI from a, let's say, ontological point of view, existential, what it really means and what it is. And then eventually I came to Tongji in China, which was an amazing step, because China had a completely different attitude, if you like, or understanding of AI, which to me was a complementary in nature. In other words, what I encountered was the exact thing that I was missing. Because in America, going all the way to, from Los Angeles to Boston, I cover the whole American, let's say, scene. And I realized that it's all technical, or not technical, but mostly something that is has a certain limits, okay? And when you go to China, you find that these limits are being expanded beyond. And that is, again, based on either the way of thinking that the Chinese people have, or in the language that you use. So by learning the language and being here for the last, whatever, 7 years, I have increased my ability to understand what is the holistic, if you like, or the integrated idea of what AI is in the true sense, if you like, again, without being biased from one or the other side, but looking at the whole thing as a whole. And again, I'm Greek, which by definition Greeks are at the middle between East and West. So being, let's say, a judge, or if you like, a referee between these two games, between the East and the West, makes me even more appropriate, if you like, for a person who can not only judge, but also can contribute towards the new advancements in AI. Okay.